Hi, in this video, I'm going to be talking about a subject that a lot of sellers avoid and real estate agents don't always have information about, and that is what if you have cracks in your foundation. So today I'm going to be interviewing Mark White, who is the owner of Foundation King here in the Kansas City metropolitan area. Now, if you live in another state and you want to learn about foundations and cracks and all things preventative, then you want to still go ahead and watch this video. And we're going to get to that interview right now. If you are new to this channel and you want to learn all there is to know about Kansas City, where to eat, where to have fun, where to take your family to go on adventures, things about the suburbs here in the Kansas City metropolitan area, all things about the weather, and of course the market, you'll want to subscribe to this channel and click that bell so that you can be the first to learn when I post something new. Hi, my name is Anita Cordell, and I hope that you will join in on my adventures as I teach you about Kansas City, as well as things about buying and selling. I help people transition from one home to the next, as well as helping people move into and out of the city of Kansas City. And if you're moving out of the city, or if you are living in a different city, be sure and text me, call me, email me, because I have a network of wonderful top-notch agents that I can help you find an agent in your market as well. So in today's video, we're going to be heading right over to interview Mark White, who is the owner of Foundation King. And without further ado, let's head right over to that interview. All right, I am standing here with Mark White. He is the owner of the Foundation King, and we're going to talk today about the difference between what he does and what the standard operating procedure for most of Kansas City is. So you come with a completely different perspective, and so I wanted to get this video done to actually educate people on there are other options other than peering if you have a foundation issue. So why don't we start with that and kind of what you do with your company and a little bit of the history?
Yeah, Foundation King, we've been around for about 15 years now doing foundation repair. We do all types of foundation repair, from peering to waterproofing to wall pushbacks, crack repair, anything around foundations, we do it. So we also do new foundations for room additions and new construction, that kind of thing. Our philosophy on that is nobody knows better how to build a new foundation than somebody that fixes broken ones all day long. So we take care of all aspects of foundation repair. We have our own patented proprietary peering system that we use. And we also try to integrate the new technologies as much as possible. There's a lot of old technology out there that works okay. There's also a lot of new technology out there that is better, cleaner, faster, just all around better for the customer.
I have been selling real estate since 2001. Your way of doing foundation repair is totally different than what most people in Kansas City are experienced with.
There's two types of foundation failures. There's settling, and then there's inward movement. So peering fixes the up and down movement, which is settling. There's other repairs like the carbon fiber crack repair or steel I-beams, those kind of things. Those fix in and out movement. So when the walls want to lean in rather than move up and down. Mm-hmm. So there's two different types of repairs. You've got up and down, and you've got in and out. It's very common with the soils that we have here in Kansas City. We have expansive clays here in Kansas City. When that clay gets wet, it expands. And when it expands, not only does it expand up, it expands out. And so what it can do is it can actually take your foundation wall and push it in. So carbon fibers repair for in and out movement. Traditionally in the whole Midwest, all over the country, the standard fix for that is put a steel I-beam against the wall. That's called a wall restraint. So peering actually goes down underneath the wall and fixes the up and down movement of the wall. A steel I-beam is what we call a wall restraint. Mm-hmm. And so what it does is it fits against the wall, it attaches to your floor joists up above. If they're done properly, they get embedded in the floor.
Into the foundation.
Into the floor at the bottom of the foundation. And then that keeps the wall from moving in and out. There's a lot of disadvantages to that. The big one, in my opinion, is that I-beam sticks out from the wall 4 inches. And so you lose square footage around your basement, and they just don't look very good.
Yeah, they look
they look terrible. Yeah, and depending on how bad the wall is, sometimes you have to put mortar in behind them to fill a gap. And they're not as strong as people think they are.
Really?
No, they're really not. We replace a lot of them that have failed over the years. failures.
Interesting, because I've had inspectors say that when that wall restraint goes up, that a lot of times the foundation is actually stronger than when it was originally built, and so that's probably speculative.
Yeah, it
right?
is. It is because the thing is, once concrete breaks, it loses like 90% of its strength. The second you have a crack, that wall loses a tremendous amount of its original strength. So by putting a restraint every 5 to 6 feet down that wall, what you do is you're just trying to put some of that strength back in that wall. Now, in my opinion, there's no way it's as strong as it was
Interesting.
before the repair.
So those are some disadvantages of the wall restraint, but you come with a different solution.
Yeah, we do. We use it sounds space age and modern. It's actually technology that's been around for about 25 years now. It's been around for a long time. It's well established. There's a long track history of success with the product. We use carbon fiber. And so the beauty of carbon fiber is when we come into a foundation like this, we grind the surface of the wall off, and then we epoxy a carbon fiber fabric on the wall. And it's a strip about 12 inches wide, and it goes from ceiling to floor. We use a steel bracket at the top that bolts the floor. That's what holds the top of the wall. The carbon fiber reinforces the middle of the wall. And the beauty of the carbon fiber is it's about as thick as a dime. If you want to paint your walls, you can paint right over the top of it, and you barely know it's there. You would have to know it was there to be able to tell.
Interesting.
If you wanted to paint over the top of it. Now, it is black on a concrete wall like this. I mean, you'll see it. It's there, but it's not obtrusive. It doesn't stick out into the floor. You don't lose any wall space. You can hang shelving on it. You can do anything you want. If it's a finished basement, you don't have to worry about framing walls around it or anything like that. Just go right over the top of it, almost like it's not even there.
And as far as the strength of it, it's stronger, you're saying, than the wall?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
They say by weight it's like 12 times stronger than steel. And what it does is it actually becomes part of the wall. So steel I-beam is, it's a separate member, and there is a space between the I-beam and the wall. Even though the I-beam touches it, it's not part of the wall. When we put the carbon fiber on the wall, it becomes part of the wall. And the epoxies that we use are actually stronger than the concrete that it bonds to. So what happens is, I'll be honest with you, we've never had a failure. But when in like a laboratory setting where they stress that to failure, the concrete fails before the epoxy does and the carbon fiber does. So now the carbon fiber is stronger than the wall. As an aggregate, it gives you the best opportunity to try to keep the wall from continuing to move more. The steel bracket at the top is really what stops the wall from moving in. When you stop the wall from moving in, if you don't reinforce the middle of the wall will break there. You'll get a big long horizontal crack. So you can't just come in and put restraints at the top of the wall and say that'll fix it. You have to reinforce the middle of the wall also, and that's what the carbon fiber does. That's what a steel beam does. That's what all those things do. And so you're trying to reinforce the middle of the wall to keep it from breaking. And because what will happen is it'll stop from moving in at the top, it'll move in the middle, and you'll get a belly in your wall is what you'll get.
Yeah. Then when you said back to the carbon fiber solution, when you're looking at the crack, you shave off basically a 12-inch area around that crack to get to the root of the crack, right?
Well,
is that
what
right?
we want is the surface of this wall. When they pour that wall, they vibrate it. They bring all the Portland to the surface of the wall. And what they're trying to do is to eliminate little air pockets and stuff like this. And so what we want to do is we want to grind down through that so that we get to really solid, structurally sound concrete to bond to.
And you said 12 inches?
Yeah,
like
it's about 12 inches wide.
Okay,
yeah.
so it might be a little intimidating to look at the carbon fiber once it's finished because it's 12 inches.
It's 12 inches wide. It is a black strip that runs top to bottom.
Okay.
But it covers the cracks. It covers everything. I wouldn't say that it's pretty. It's not obtrusive. It doesn't really.
You can paint over it.
Absolutely.
So.
And if you don't like it, paint over it, and you'll never know it's there.
Now, I have seen where through the years of selling real estate, I'll go to a foundation and there'll be actually some epoxy injections into the crack.
Yeah.
And that has also actually been a recommendation of inspectors. They'll just say, hey, look, it's not super bad yet. You can go ahead and inject it with epoxy. What are your thoughts about that?
I'm not a fan.
You're not a fan of epoxy?
I'm not a fan.
Well, because it feels like it just fills in the crack, but where's the strength coming?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
And so one of the other beauties of carbon fiber is we can waterproof with it as well. And so what happens is when we waterproof with carbon fiber, we actually, not only do we stop the water from coming in, we add strength back to that wall. Because like we talked about before, as soon as that wall breaks, it loses almost all of its strength. And so if you just put a little bit of epoxy injection in that wall, you don't add any strength back to that wall. So what happens is, as soon as that wall moves again, and if it moved once, it'll probably move again if you don't do anything with it, it breaks that seal and your wall leaks again. We avoid epoxy injection at all costs because we want to give you the best product. That, the reality of it is, in foundation repair, we don't really like to have customers calling us back.
Yeah, and so I guess if somebody were to put an epoxy injection in, that might just put a Band-Aid over it.
In my opinion, that's all it is a Band-Aid.
Okay, and you would be getting a phone call back if it continued to crack, as well as the wall restraints. You might get a call back. You said that you warranty people.
We do.
So tell me about that.
On carbon fiber, I believe we give a 25-year warranty on carbon fiber.
Wow, that's good.
Which, good luck getting that on epoxy injection with anyone. If anyone gives you more than about a 6-month warranty on epoxy injection, they haven't been doing it very long. On our peering system, we give a lifetime warranty on the peering system. Anything waterproofing, it's a 20-year warranty on waterproofing. So we're going to give you a nice, long warranty. I don't want to have to come back. So I'm going to make sure that you get the best products and the best repair.
This is our carbon fiber crack repair strips. It's made to have strength this way and not this way. But this doesn't look like it would do much, but once we add our catalyst and hardener and give it 24 hours to cure, this here is it's 10 times harder than steel. So what we will do is this comes in 2-foot sections. We'll layer it over the crack and do our best to split the difference. And it's made, and then we will add a catalyst and a hardener first, and then we will add a catalyst and a hardener afterwards, and we will overlap by 4 inches each piece all the way down the crack until we've completely covered the crack. And then after the 24 hours that this hardens, this will fix to the wall, and it does not allow it to go one way or the other. These right here, it looks similar, but it is not. This is made 100% the opposite way. This is made to have strength up and down and not side to side. These here are what we're going to use for wall restraints, and these will prevent your wall from coming in any further than they already have. And right here, you can get a good scope of pre, during, completed. So I am applying a hardener right now, post putting on my carbon fiber strap so that the material hardens on the outside and it soaks in between the strands. That's what gives it its strength. The hardener being applied before I put the straps on is what we use primarily to bond our straps to your wall. And then when it's going on post straps being put on the wall is to add our strength to the carbon fiber itself. So right now he's putting that on there and this stuff is super sticky. That looks like a wall restraint, but that's not. That's crack repair. It just happened to be straight up and down. Everywhere that you see these straight up, we haven't got to yet with our carbon fiber straps because our crack repair will have to go under it first, and then our carbon fiber strap will go on top of it. So we want to stop the water before we put on the wall restraints. If you're only able to see the top parts of cracks, because I want to say here it stopped being able to be seen right about here originally, but after I came through with the grinder and it started removing the debris from the crack itself, that'll be from fine particulates and dust washing into the wall from outside. So a lot of times it'll come in and you won't even be able to see it. So one of your first indicators that you have a leaky crack is if you find small amounts of dirt or dust at the bottom.
Yeah, I have seen those wall restraints where the mortar that they've filled in erodes, and they say that you have to watch that because the wall still will continue to move over time. So That's interesting that your solution is stronger than those wall restraints.
Our carbon fiber, it's all made in America. It's all U.S.-based materials.
Mm-hmm.
The factories where the carbon fiber is made, a lot of it's made in China. The company that we buy from, they're actually based out of St. Louis, and all the resins and all the carbon fiber is made right here in the United States.
So we talked about St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
You were telling me that if you go to St. Louis, then if this situation arose, most of the solutions would be carbon fiber. But when you come to Kansas City, that's a completely different...
And that's right. And it's just a difference in market. Structural engineers in that part of the country, they know the product, they like the product, they understand the product. Structural engineers in Kansas City, they're a different group of guys. Steel I-beams are something they've been doing for 100 years, so why change now?
Right, yeah.
And so that's one of the things we're working to change in Kansas City, is to not only educate customers, but educate the structural engineers, let them know that, hey, not only are these products out there, we're using them. They're great products. In the commercial world, it's used quite a little bit, even in Kansas City. We use this to fix parking garages, and we use carbon fiber to do, 30-foot walls. And in the commercial world, they'll call it out, and they'll want to use carbon fiber.
Mm-hmm.
The residential world in Kansas City,
they haven't
quite caught up. They haven't quite caught up.
Hopefully this video will help people catch up, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I just wanted to remind you to subscribe to this channel and click that bell so that you can be the first to learn about something new. And if you have any questions about foundation, or if you have any comments or experience, be sure and put it in the comments section below, and I will get you in contact with Foundation King. Or you can read the description below, and his contact information will be in there. Also, like this video, and we'll get back to the interview right now. Now, when we're talking about this specific basement, it's not a horrible issue that we're finding right now, but this is a preventative way to make sure that it doesn't get any worse.
Absolutely. So you have some telltale signs on this wall that there is inward movement. Anytime you have inward movement, obviously that's never a good thing, and so we want to stop it, because quite honestly, this wall isn't terrible now. It's much cheaper to stop it now than it is to fix it after it's gone too far.
Yeah.
So you could spend a few $1,000s now, stop it from moving, to keep you from spending $20,000 in 10 years. And then, not to mention the headache and the hassle of that repair, because that repair just blows up your yard. It's be a full excavation, a wall pushback, water, all that stuff, and it's a big mess. It's a big hassle. There's just no way around it. Spending a few $1,000s now will help prevent that repair in the future.
And the cost of carbon is very similar.
It is. Compared to a steel beam, for us, it's very similar.
Yeah.
There are some companies out there, they charge a lot more for it. For us, we realize that the material price is higher, our labor is a little lower, and so for us, it kind of washes out a little bit. And so we charge almost the same amount. And a big reason we charge almost the same amount for carbon fiber as we would for a steel beam, we don't want to give anyone any reason to choose a steel beam, because we don't believe in that repair. And so I don't want anyone to be able to go, well, steel beams are a lot cheaper and my budget doesn't allow me to do carbon fiber. So what we've chosen to do is bring carbon fiber down to the same price as traditional steel beam, and pass that on to the customer and just say, listen, we believe in this repair. We're the ones that are going to give you the warranty on it, so I want you to have the best product possible.
Because there's no place like somebody's home.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You're going to spend a considerable amount of money on it. I want to make sure you get the best product. And so I'm going to do my best to make the best product obtainable for anybody.
So what is the difference between just a normal settlement crack? So like we have one right here that we're looking at. It's just kind of a curvature one. It's not huge, comparably speaking to like if your finger is on there. But then there's another crack that is just a little bit wider. What can you talk about regarding the difference between just a normal settlement crack and then one that you would want to come and actually do some repairs to?
We generally, because The cracks in a wall generally will tell you what's going on. You can look at the angle of the cracks, you can look at the position of the cracks on the wall, and get a pretty good idea of what's going on. And any good foundation evaluator should be able to do that. I know all my evaluators are trained to walk into a house, look at the cracks, and be able to tell what's going on. Now, as a general rule, a crack like this that starts high and angles down to the corner tells us the wall is leaning in. That would be the inward movement of a wall. Now, if it were the crack we're doing just the opposite, is if it started high in the corner and angled down towards the middle of the wall, that tells me that's a settling issue, that the corner has started to settle. Of course, a big long horizontal crack, which this wall doesn't have, across down the middle, tells us that the wall is bowing in the middle, that wall has failed in the middle. So a similar repair to what we're doing here, but a different symptom. Generally, a crack, just a straight crack in the middle of the wall like you have here, is an indicator that the wall is moving in. Concrete doesn't flex, concrete doesn't bend, and so if it moves, it has to show that somewhere. Okay. But not every crack means there's movement, but if there's movement, you almost always, there will be a crack somewhere. Now, sometimes the way it cracks makes them really difficult to see, but concrete has to, if it moves, it has to crack.
A lot of inspectors will look at the topsoil that's around your property. Yep. That is one
absolutely.
Cause. So
absolutely.
Talk about kind of how people can prevent this.
You know, I tell people every day that if everyone knew how important gutters and downspouts were, I'd be out of business. Gutters and downspouts all day long. Keep track of those. Make sure they're working properly. Make sure your downspouts are buried in the grass with a pipe that runs out at least. Our recommendation is always at least 10 feet away from the house, and that depends on the grade. You want it to daylight at a point where that water has no choice but to go away from the house. If your house just has a gutter and a downspout with a little 3-foot extension, in our opinion, that's not enough. You need that water all the way away from the house, at least 10 feet.
The piping that is under the ground sometimes is ribbed and it will crack. How do you prevent that from occurring?
The pipe we use a corrugated plastic pipe. It really is, it's perfect for that kind of thing, because in our opinion, the PVC gets brittle. So a white PVC pipe used for drainage and stuff like that can get brittle, especially when it's, it's not buried very deep. It really, often it can't be, because you have to get the daylight, so you have to be able to daylight it somewhere. Just lawnmowers running over it, that kind of thing, can crush it. Unless you want to up to a big, expensive Schedule 40, which is always an option, but rarely does someone want to, especially today. We bought some, and it was about $120 for a 10-foot piece of Schedule 40 pipe, and that's stuff that we used to pay $15 for. So
prices are going up.
Yeah. Prices have gotten crazy on that kind of stuff. But in my opinion, the black corrugated pipe is perfectly sufficient for downspout extension. As long as it's buried, you don't want it laying on top of the grass, anything like that. If you get it buried, it's not moving. We put a pop-up on it, and it needs to be attached to the gutter properly. The black corrugated pipe, if your downspout comes down, you don't want to leave the elbow on the bottom of the downspout to where it turns out and then put the pipe in. You want the pipe to turn up and attach to the downspout that way.
So you not only do foundation repair, but you help the homeowners actually solve the problem with their soil and prevent any further damage.
We can,
right?
Absolutely. We do the grading in the lawn to help make sure we're getting getting the water away from the house. We do the downspout extensions in the yard. Now, we don't do gutters and downspouts if you have real issues with your gutters and downspouts, but we take it from there. Once that downspout gets down to the ground, we'll take it from there. We'll get that pipe as far away from the house as it needs to be to make sure you're getting that water completely away from your foundation and helping to solve those problems.
So you are truly a foundation king.
That's right. We sure try.
Yes. And how do people contact you if they have a crack in their foundation, or if they just want a quote? Because you give quotes, right?
Free quotes, free estimates, and we'd be more than happy to send a trained evaluator by who will come inspect your house. He'll look at the entire foundation, look at any issues you have, grading, downspouts, those kind of things. Give you a free proposal on what that'll cost. And that can go through foundationking.com, our website. And on that website, there's a phone number. If you'd rather call, you can go to the website. You can get the phone number. Crystal in the office will pick up.
So is there any last thoughts that you have that we missed?
When you have someone come to your house to evaluate your foundation, make sure that they're doing that they're actually giving you a proper evaluation, that they're taking the time to actually look and evaluate and see what's happening. Make sure that they're looking at the whole foundation. You know, you want to be sure that you get that they're not just trying to push you to what's cheap to get the sale. As always, check reviews. I always encourage people to check reviews for Foundation King because we've got a lot of good ones. And feel free, we have a whole list of references. We're more than happy to give a few numbers for people to call if they'd like to. We're always going to push. We might not be the cheapest, but I can promise you we'll be the best.
Thanks for letting me do this
No
interview.
problem. Glad I can help. I appreciate it much.
Yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video about foundations and learned a lot. I know I did. If you're ready to transition, whether that's in 9 days or in 90 days or even a year, be sure and give me a call, shoot me a text, or send me that email. I would love to talk with you about real estate. And as always, to buy or sell, call Anita Cordell, because there's no place like home.